Hey, listen up. Letting go isn't about losing everything you love. It's about unshackling your heart from the chains of clinging, and I'm gonna show you how the Buddha's wisdom can set you free right now. I've walked this earth for over 7 decades, seen empires of wealth rise and crumble in my own life, and as someone who's studied the Buddha's teachings down to the bone, I'm telling you, holding on tighter doesn't keep things safe, it's what makes you suffer most. Stick with me and I'll unravel why letting go the Buddhist way isn't sacrifice but the ultimate liberation. Now you might be thinking, if I let go, don't I just end up empty-handed, staring at a life with no joy? That's the fear I hear whispering in folks from New York to London. People just like you, terrified that releasing their grip means losing their passion, their people, their purpose. But let me poke at that thought a bit. What if I told you attachment isn't about your fancy car, your soulmate, or even that morning coffee you can't live without? The Buddha taught us it's not the stuff or the folks around us that bind us. It's the way our mind claws at them, screaming, "This is mine and I can't survive without it." Think about it. Ever lost a job you thought defined you, only to find a better path months later? I've been there. Back in my 50s, I lost a real estate deal worth millions. Thought my world was over. Couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, kept replaying every what if in my head. But here's the kicker. When I finally stopped obsessing, I stumbled into a mentorship that taught me more than money ever could. The thing wasn't the problem. My mind's death grip on it was. So let's dig deeper. How do we shift that inner wiring? The answer lies in understanding that letting go doesn't mean walking away from life's treasures. It means walking toward them with open hands, not clenched fists. Picture yourself at a beach, waves rolling in. You can't hold the ocean in your palms, right? But you can still feel its cool touch, hear its roar, marvel at its vastness. That's the Buddhist secret. Enjoy without owning. I've seen this fear of emptiness in so many faces. Folks at meditation retreats across Europe, clutching their pasts like life rafts. One woman, Anna from Berlin, shared how she couldn't forgive an ex who'd betrayed her. She said, "If I let go, it's like saying what he did was okay." But holding that grudge wasn't punishing him, it was poisoning her. Over weeks of guided practice, she learned to release not the memory, but the burning need to control its meaning. Today she laughs easier, lives lighter. See, letting go isn't erasure, it's redefining. It's not about losing the plot of your life, it's about rewriting the script where you're not the victim of every twist. So let's ask ourselves, what are we really afraid of losing when we cling? Control, identity, or just the illusion of safety? I've pondered this under ancient banyan trees and in quiet city parks. And I've come to see that our attachments are often just stories we tell ourselves about who we are. Strip those away and what's left isn't nothingness, it's freedom to be. So, hang tight as we dive into the heart of the Buddhist teaching on this, because I'm about to lay out exactly how to transform that fear into a fearless embrace of life as it is. Alright, let's get to the nuts and bolts of this Buddhist wisdom on letting go, straight from the source. The Buddha, over 2,500 years ago, didn't say, dump your family, ditch your dreams, and live in a cave. No, he pointed to a deeper truth. Everything, every single thing in this life, is impermanent. Your body, my creaky old knees, the cherry blossoms blooming in your backyard, the love letters tucked in your drawer, they're all on borrowed time. The Pali Canon, one of the oldest Buddhist texts, quotes the Buddha in the Anicca Sutta saying, "Whatever is subject to arising is subject to ceasing." That's not poetry, it's reality. Nothing sticks around forever, and suffering, dukkha as we call it, comes when we fight that truth, when we clutch at fleeting things as if we can make them eternal. I've lived this lesson hard. In my 30s, I built a small fortune in stocks, thought I'd secured my future. Then the '87 crash hit, Black Monday, and I watched half my net worth vanish in a day. I raged, blamed the markets, blamed myself, couldn't let go of the should have been in my head. But here's what the Buddha would have asked me: why suffer twice? Once for the loss and again for refusing to accept it? See, impermanence isn't a curse, it's the rhythm of life. Studies back this up. Psychologists at Harvard, in a 2018 paper on mindfulness, found that people who accept change rather than resist it report 30% lower stress levels over time. That's not just theory, it's measurable. Now, let's ground this in a scene I witnessed at a retreat in Scotland last year. A man named David, mid-40s, came in broken after a divorce. He'd lost his wife of 15 years and with her, his sense of home. He kept saying, "I can't let go, she was my everything." We sat in a circle, wind howling outside, and I shared the Buddha's words from the Dhammapada. From what is dear, suffering arises. Not because love is wrong, but because we turn it into a cage. Over days, David meditated on impermanence, picturing their shared moments as waves rising and falling, not his to keep. He cried, sure, but by the end he could smile at those memories without the ache of ownership. That's the shift. Letting go isn't abandoning love, it's loving without possession. The Buddhist teaching here is razor sharp. Attachment is a mental game. It's not your house, your kid, your career. It's the thought, this defines me and without it, I'm nothing. Break that thought and you break the chain. I've seen this in my own family too. My daughter, bless her, moved across the ocean to chase her dreams. First year, I felt gutted, couldn't let go of the little girl who'd clung to my hand. But meditating on change, I saw she wasn't mine to hold. She was a life unfolding just as I am. Now, our calls are pure joy, not laced with my silent need to keep her close. So, the setup is clear. Letting go in Buddhism is realizing nothing is permanent, and suffering comes from pretending otherwise. It's not about giving up life's gifts, it's about holding them lightly, knowing they'll slip through your fingers one day. Think of it like renting a beautiful villa on the Italian coast. You savor every sunset from the balcony, but you don't tear yourself apart when the lease ends. That's the mindset. And here's where it gets practical. Start small. Next time you're upset over a missed flight or a broken keepsake, pause. Ask, can I control this staying the same? If not, breathe and let the mental tug-of-war fade. I've done this with everything from spilled tea to lost deals, and each time the weight lifts a little more. The Buddhist path isn't abstract. It's a daily rewiring of how we see the world. And trust me, once you get this, life doesn't just get bearable. It gets beautiful in ways you didn't expect. But let's push this further. There's a twist coming that'll make you rethink how deep this letting go really goes. So, here's the curveball. If letting go means accepting impermanence, does that mean we can't fight for anything, justice, love, or even our own survival? That's the pushback I've heard in sanghas from Paris to San Francisco, and it's a fair jab. People say, if I let go, am I just giving up on making things right? Let me tackle this head-on with a story that flipped my own perspective. A few years back, I met a woman named Clara at a mindfulness workshop in Dublin. She was a fierce activist, spent years campaigning for environmental reforms, but she was burned out, angry, sleepless, haunted by every policy failure. She told me, I can't let go, the planet's dying and I'm supposed to just accept that? I felt her fire and I've wrestled with this myself. In my younger days, I fought tooth and nail to save a community center from developers. Lost anyway, and the bitterness ate me alive for years. But here's what I shared with Clara, straight from the Buddha's playbook. Letting go doesn't mean passivity, it means fighting without being owned by the fight. In the Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha talks about right effort, striving with wisdom, not blind attachment to outcomes. Clara started meditating on this, visualizing her activism as planting seeds, not building walls. Some seeds grow, some don't. That's impermanence. 6 months later, she wrote me saying she still marched, still lobbied, but without the rage choking her. She'd let go of needing to win to feel whole. That's the twist. Letting go isn't surrender, it's strategic freedom. You act, but your peace doesn't hinge on the result. I've applied this to health scares too. Last year, a bad diagnosis had me spiraling. Couldn't let go of why me until I sat with the truth. My body's a guest house, not a fortress. I fought for treatment, but without the mental war. So let's rethink this. Letting go isn't apathy, it's clarity. It's seeing the battle for what it is, not what you wish it to be. And when you grasp that, you're ready for the real breakthrough, the moment this all clicks into unshakable truth. Now, we're at the heart of it, the big reveal, the power of realizing impermanence as your ultimate liberator. The Buddha's core insight, laid bare in the Four Noble Truths, is that clinging to what's fleeting is the root of all suffering. Stop clinging and you stop the pain, not by running from life but by seeing it as it is, a dance of change. Let me paint this with a story that still shakes me. 10 years ago, I lost my oldest friend, Martin, to cancer. We'd shared 40 years, road trips through the Alps, late-night debates over cheap whiskey, dreams of retiring by a lake. When he passed, I couldn't let go. I'd sit with his old letters, replaying our last talks, feeling like part of me died too. The grief was a vice, wouldn't loosen. Then, at a retreat in Wales, a teacher guided us through the Buddha's words from the Upajjhatthana Sutta. I am of the nature to die, there is no way of avoiding death. Harsh, maybe. But it hit me like lightning. Martin wasn't mine to keep, never was. Our time was a gift, not a guarantee. I started meditating on this, picturing our memories as leaves on a stream floating by. I didn't stop missing him, but I stopped fighting the loss. That's freedom. And science echoes this. A 2020 study from UCLA found that mindfulness practices focused on impermanence reduce grief intensity by 25% over 6 months, because they shift how we process loss. But let's get granular. How does this work day to day? Take something small, your phone breaks. First instinct? Frustration, right? I need this. But pause. See it as impermanent. Phones die just like everything. I did this last month when my laptop crashed mid-project. Old me would have fumed for hours. New me? I sighed, accepted it, and got to fixing it without the drama. That's the muscle you build. Now let's scale it up. I've counseled folks through bigger ruptures. Marriages ending, businesses folding. A guy named Tom from Chicago lost his startup after a decade of sweat. He was suicidal, couldn't let go of the identity he'd built. We sat for hours over Zoom, breaking down the Buddha's teaching on anatta, no permanent self. Tom wasn't his company. He was a stream of experiences, always shifting. Slowly, he started volunteering, rediscovering purpose without the old label. That's the climax. When you internalize impermanence, letting go isn't forced, it's inevitable. You see life as a river, not a dam. Nothing's yours to hoard, not even you. The Buddha said in the Samyutta Nikaya, form is like a lump of foam, feeling, a bubble, perception, a mirage. Nothing solid to grip. I've lived this through every loss, wealth, health, loved ones. Each time, clinging hurt more than the loss itself. But accepting change? It's like stepping out of a storm into clear air. So try this. Next time pain hits, don't ask, why me? Ask, how long was I fooling myself this would last? Journal it, meditate on it. I've done this with aches in my aging bones. Can't cling to youth, so I laugh at the mirror instead. And here's the data again. A 2019 meta-analysis in the Journal of Positive Psychology shows acceptance of impermanence correlates with a 40% boost in life satisfaction. Numbers don't lie. Letting go, fully grasped, is your ticket out of self-made prisons. It's not losing, It's winning at life's real game, living without illusions. And trust me, when this clicks, the world looks different, lighter, even magical in its constant flux. Let's take that magic a step further with a little twist that'll stick with you. Alright, let's lighten this up with a bit of wonder. Life, my friends, is a grand magic show, and I've got front row seats to prove it. Picture this. You're at a circus in some old European town, cobblestone streets outside, the big top glowing under lantern light. The magician on stage pulls rabbits from hats, makes scarves vanish, saws a lady in half. You're mesmerized, heart racing, believing it's all real, until you befriend the magician after the show. He winks, shows you the trapdoors, the mirrors, the sleight of hand. Suddenly the illusion's gone, but here's the beauty. You still love the show. You laugh louder, marvel deeper, because now you're in on the trick. That's life through the Buddha's eyes. Impermanence is the trapdoor, the mirror. Everything's a fleeting act, from your first kiss to your last breath. Clinging is falling for the illusion, suffering when the rabbit disappears. But once you see the trick, once wisdom whispers, nothing lasts, you enjoy the performance without the heartbreak. I felt this magic myself. 5 years ago, I threw a big 70th birthday bash. Family and friends from across the Atlantic packed into my backyard. Music blaring, ribs on the grill, laughter echoing. I caught myself thinking, I wish this could last forever. Then I stopped, smiled, and thought, no, it's a magic act, perfect because it won't. I danced harder, hugged tighter, knowing the curtain would fall. No pain, just presence. I've shared this metaphor at talks in Buddhist centers from Amsterdam to Austin, and folks light up. They get it. One young man, Liam, told me he used it to cope with a breakup. Saw his ex as a beautiful act in his life's show, not the whole script. He said, I'm still sad, but I'm not stuck. I'm waiting for the next act. That's the gush, the emotional pop. Life's a spectacle, and letting go lets you applaud without chasing the magician off stage. Try picturing your own magic show. That job stress? A disappearing coin trick? That family feud? A temporary smoke and mirrors bit? I do this when petty worries creep in, like last week fretting over a delayed pension check. Laughed it off as a quick card shuffle, not the end of my story. This mindset's a game changer. It softens the edges of loss with a playful awe. You start seeing every goodbye, every change as part of the act, stunning in its brevity. So, sit back with me in this imaginary big top. Smell the popcorn, hear the crowd's gasp, feel the thrill of not knowing what's next. Let go of needing to control the show, and you'll find yourself grinning at life's wild, unpredictable beauty. What's one illusion in your own magic show you're ready to see through? Let that question linger as we wrap this up with a final nudge. So here we are. Letting go the Buddhist way isn't about losing your world. It's about freeing your heart to live in it fully, knowing nothing's permanent. I've walked you through the pain of clinging, the truth of impermanence, and the magic of seeing life as it is, a fleeting, beautiful show. Start small. Next time you're hooked on a worry, a loss, a must-have, pause, breathe, and whisper to yourself, this too will pass. I've done it through decades of ups and downs, and I promise, it's the path to peace. If this wisdom sparked something in you, hit that like, subscribe, and keep close. Your support fuels my fire to share these ancient truths. Videos like this can vanish in a blink, so stay connected for more. And tell me in the comments, what's one thing in your life you're ready to let go of, even just a little? I'm reading every word, ready to walk this path with you.